So good. Glad that you're with us, and good to be with you. And as always, we thank you for tuning in and watching these podcasts. And we always say that we hope that these are impactful to you in your life and meaningful to you, and that you can gain something from it. And in this particular podcast, we call this "What's Happening at Glory." And we're going to be looking at different aspects of our missions part of our church. And I'm so thankful to be a part of a church who puts emphasis on missions. And you'll be hearing a lot of different parts of that, the missions that we're involved with locally, nationally, and internationally. And so, again, just so thankful for a church family and church leadership who puts a lot of emphasis on mission work in our community and throughout the world. So today with me I have Tanya Evans. So Tanya, welcome. Hi. And Tanya is a member here at Glory Fellowship and is a charter member, has been with the church from the very beginning. So we've been, this past month of May, we're celebrating our 20th anniversary as a church. And so just exciting to see what God has done here. And I know that, you've been a big impact and big part of the church throughout the years. Tanya serves in a variety of ways. I guess you've probably served in our kids department from day one.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I think I was the original children's director.
Yeah, there you go. And so we're very thankful for what Tanya does here in our church in a variety of ways. But specifically today, we're talking with Tanya about our mission efforts in Uganda. And Tanya has been instrumental in that and really kind of got us involved, got our church involved in that. And so we're going to talk about that today. So Tanya, we'll just go ahead and jump right into it for time's sake. Go ahead and let's just jump into it and explain how you got involved in mission work in Uganda. And we're going to be looking at some maps here as well, so we'll kind of give them an idea of where we're talking about. But just how you got involved in the mission work there and when that started.
Well, it probably wasn't too long after we actually became a church that God called me to adopt from Africa specifically. And through different connections, I was led to Uganda. And 14 years ago today, we were in Uganda, me and Martha, and that's where I adopted Willow Ray and Andrew. Mm-hmm. And that's we were there for 11 weeks. Absolutely fell in love with the country, the people. It's beautiful. The people are beautiful. Very compassionate and caring, but also very poor.
Yeah.
And in need of a lot of things. And so once we got home, it was one of my greatest desires to help the people that were still there, and to do whatever I could to help. And we had made some connections with some Ugandans there. And that's kind of what we set about doing, is just trying to find where we could help, and that's how it all started.
Well, that's wonderful. It's amazing how God leads you to a place that really before that you had no connections or idea about or anything, And Tanya mentioned her son and daughter Andrew and Willow Ray, and they are 15 years old now, doing great. And, we're very proud of them, and they've been a big part of our church family.
Yes. And church has been a big part of their lives. I can't thank the church enough for what all they've done to help me and raising them to be the godly people that they are.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And so we're very excited to see them continue to grow and where they go in life and all. So let's just take just a second and let's look to give everybody a perspective of where we're talking about. We have a map here, which is the continent of Africa, and you see in I guess it's the dark orange shade, is where the country of Uganda is located. So so kind of East Central Africa, in that area, and folks may be familiar with some of the other countries, surrounding countries as well. But
the equator runs about right along the bottom edge there. Of Uganda through Kenya and Congo.
And that bottom part there on the south part of the country is Lake Victoria. But so that kind of gives you an idea of where the country is in relation to the continent. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click off of this picture, and let's go to another map of the country itself. And so right here is Kampala, which that's the capital city, correct?
Yes, that's the capital city.
And so when you go on a trip over there, that's where we stay. That's where we stay, yes. And I'll talk about that in a minute. I had the good fortune of getting to go with you on a trip, but that's where you stay. So in relation to there, show us where the village, Kamingo, a lot of the work is done.
Well, here is Entebbe. Entebbe is where the airport is, and that's where we fly into, and it's right on the coast of Lake Victoria. So when you fly in, you see the lake. We usually stay in Kampala, and then we drive out here where Mpigi is. Mpigi is the district, kind of like we would have a county here, like it would be Walker County. And then they have Mpigi Town, which would be like Jasper is to Walker County. And it's on the main road. Kamingo, where we work, is actually south of the road and back into the jungle a good ways.
Right, yeah.
According to how the road is.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So that's where we are. Specifically, Kamingo Funvu is the littlest part of the village that we are specifically in, but Kamingo is kind of the larger area.
Yeah, okay. Well, tell us a little bit about the work that has gone on there through the years and how things have progressed. You can talk about Brian, the pastor there at the Glory Fellowship Church in Uganda. They're our sister church over there. So talk a little bit about the work that's been done and the school, the church, just everything.
We've probably been working in the village a little over 10 years now. The first thing that we tried to establish was a church, and not necessarily a building church. We just had somebody that was coming out and preaching on Sundays and teaching and getting people exposed to the gospel and hearing the gospel, because most of the people in the village were Catholic if they were anything.
Right.
We had Catholicism and witchcraft. Those were your options. And so that's where we started. Then we started trying to meet those basic needs. We put in a clean water well because the water source that they had to walk down to the base of a really large hill where this teeny little stream was just trickling through, and they shared that water source with all of the animals. And I mean, it was literally fluorescent green. How nasty and dirty the water is. If it got on your skin would break out.
Goodness,
that's how dirty it was. And so we got them clean water, and that improved health dramatically for the people there. And then from there, we our mission was to start a school. Education is vitally important to the people in Uganda. They know that if they can get an education, then their opportunities are limitless. And so that was also, besides doing the church and improving health, we wanted to make sure that the kids were educated, because most of the people in the village are farmers that are just barely eking out a living, making enough food for them to live on, maybe selling a little bit to have a little bit of extra that they can go to the store and buy other things. They did not have the money for school fees. In Uganda, school's not free. It's not paid for by the government. They have to pay for the fees for the kids to go. They have to have a uniform. They have to buy the supplies, and all of those things kept most of the people in the village, the children in the village, from being able to get an education.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that's, it's so great about what has happened over there in that area. It's definitely scripture based, because we're taking care of them, or helping to take care of them, and wanting to provide physically, but also spiritually.
Yes.
We're providing and helping in that physical aspect, and then at the same time, the gospel is being presented to them as well.
They're all intertwined, because with the church is on the same property that the school is. While they're at school, the kids are getting fed at least one meal a day, if not two. And then they're free to present the gospel every day at school.
Yeah.
They in school they learn songs
Right.
About Jesus, and most of the teachers that teach in the school also teach at the church, or preach at the church sometimes, or one of the sister churches, the church plants that we have been able to start. And so it's all intertwined. So they're being fed spiritually, mentally, and physically.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, I like I said, I had the good fortune to be able to travel with Tanya a few years ago to Uganda, and I think we were gone for like 17 days or something. It was a long one. It was a long one. Yeah, and it was wonderful. Had a lot of great experiences while we were there, and
you got to preach.
Yeah, got to preach, and got to officiate a wedding.
Yes, surprise.
And several different things that we were able to do that week, and it was a wonderful trip. We got to visit the orphanage, and that'll break your heart, seeing that and everything. And but anyway, how many times have you been to Uganda now?
At this point, I think I've been 9 times.
Okay, 9 times. And just kind of give everybody an idea of, how long it takes to get there, the how long the flight is, and that type of thing.
We've learned a few tricks over over my nine trips. I've learned a few things. We usually fly out of Atlanta, because that cuts a couple of hours off of our trip, and we're allowed to take more luggage and that kind of thing. Usually we fly from Atlanta to Europe. That trip is 8 or 9 hours long. We have short layover wherever in Europe. Sometimes it's Amsterdam, London, and then from there we travel on Uganda with a short stay over in Rwanda, Kigali, right here.
Okay.
And we pop back up to Kampala.
Yeah.
That flight is usually about 10 hours long.
Okay.
So usually, all totaled, it's a 24-hour at least trip.
Yeah.
Just to get there. And then we usually have an hour or so drive into Kampala, where we're staying. So it's not a quick trip, and that's what I usually say. You're not going to be able to do it in a week. Yeah. And jet lag is a very real thing.
Right. Yeah.
When you're talking about that big of a time difference. So
that's true.
So there's a lot to get used to.
Yeah. So coming up, do you have plans for a trip in the near future? And what are, I know there's always needs, but kind of what's the priority list of needs coming up?
Right now, the tentative plan is to go in March of 2024.
Okay.
Do a spring break trip. Probably leave that Thursday or Friday before spring break. Try to get back that Saturday or Sunday at the end of spring break. So that gives us a week with their travel time. And I always say, everybody wants to say, well, what are you going to do when you get there? And I always say, well, that depends on who goes.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Because, I would love to plan a medical missions trip. But if I don't have medical people to go, we can't do that.
Yeah.
And just like they're hungry to be taught about the Bible, and Adam was able to go a few years ago and lead a pastors conference, and let me tell you, that was phenomenal. They were so blessed to have somebody to come in and teach the pastors in that area the Bible and the the true word, because most of these pastors have never been to college. Some of them have never been to school, much less been to the divinity school.
A lot of them they're just figuring it out on their own.
They're learning it on their own, and they're trying to teach as well as they can. And so they were very grateful and very blessed, and they asked me every year. Brian Teresa, who is our pastor who works for us in country, he asks every year, Is Brother Adam coming back? Is somebody coming back to do a pastor's conference? All of the pastors are asking me, is somebody coming back to teach us more? So that is always the need. This past trip we went, and I guess you would say it was just a bunch of regular people. So we just painted the school.
Okay.
We painted the classrooms inside and out, did some work around that, and then they were working on the construction of the kitchen for the school, and so that was the main area. We always try to take items that they need for the school or things like that. So we are always in need of supplies, medical supplies, over-the-counter medicines. Your basic Tylenol, Benadryl, first aid supplies, things like that, Band-Aids. It's a school, and our school has grown from 150 to almost.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
Yeah. We had a very large incoming class. Those post-pandemic babies started pre-K. So we had 3 classes of pre-K kids that started this year. So that's our main need, and unfortunately, the only way that we can get things to Uganda is for us to take them as we go. Shipping them is not economical, and there's no guarantee that. So, pack them in our luggage as our luggage, and that's how we train.
Yeah. Okay. Something we haven't mentioned yet, and probably should have at the beginning. Alawazi Ministries. Okay.
Awazi, yeah.
Awazi Ministries. So how did that name come about, and when did all of that take place?
Awazi Ministries was started as a 501c3. We wanted to get organized and be able to give people tax exemptions for donations and that things, be able to apply for grants and that thing. And so I created Awazi Ministries. Awazi is the Ugandan word for solid rock.
Okay.
And that's what we are basing all of our work on, the solid rock of Jesus. That is the basis for everything that we do. We try to accomplish is to show the love of Jesus and to tell people about Jesus so that they can know and spread the gospel throughout.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's wonderful. Well, for time's sake, we better go ahead and start trying to close and everything. And we could sit here and talk about this for 2 hours, and everything that's going on. But if anybody from our Glory family or anyone else, maybe from a sister church or anybody who would like to get involved with this, tell them how to do that.
They can either get in contact with me. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, all of those. We have a website, awazi.org is our website, and that's OLWAZZI is Awazi. And we have a Facebook page also that they can get in touch with that way. Or just call the church.
Yeah,
and
that's
I'm
right.
sure y'all relay messages to me. As far as anybody that would be interested in going on a trip with us, you have to have a passport, and it has to have at least 6 months before its expiration date when we leave.
We learned that.
We learned that the hard way.
We did.
You have to have a yellow fever vaccination, and you can get that at the travel clinic in Birmingham. And then we have to apply for visas, do all of that. But those are the 2 things you have to have before they'll ever even let you on the plane to leave. So, and you know, I don't put an age limit as long as you're physically able to go, because it's rough terrain.
Yeah.
It's not easy going. And they love kids. So if you want to come and bring your family and your children, you know, Andrew went with us when we came, and he had a blast. Almost forgot him a couple of times.
Yeah, right.
He was playing so hard. But you know, other than that, we welcome everybody. And I will say that the cost, because of airfare and lodging and all of the in-country food and travel and everything, price is usually around $2,500 to $3,000.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds great. And so again, you know, if you're interested in any of that, Tanya gave you the contact information, and you can always call the church as well and get in touch with us. Hey, be praying about that. Anybody's interested in doing that, you know, let us know. But Tanya, thank you for everything that you do, and all the work you put in, and the way you serve and all. And glad that you're here and part of our church family. And thank you for being on the podcast. And
thank you for.
So we, as always, invite you to be a part of Glory Fellowship on Sunday mornings at 9 and 10:30, and then Wednesdays at 6 o'clock. And so hope to see you soon. And that's what's happening at Glory and Uganda.